In the previous video, we discussed the data structure, and this is a simple diagram of what we're looking to build. So we're going to jump in now and build out the companies table. Once you've signed up for your Knack account and logged in, you'll be on the My Apps section. And from here, we can click on the Create New App. We can either import from a CSV file, start from scratch, or use a template app. On this occasion, we're going to start from scratch. Before I add my first table, I'm just going to come to the top left-hand side and rename this app. Now I'm going to add our first table. Once again, there are multiple ways to do this. I can either upload a CSV file, I can choose one of the pre-built templates, and the company's template is pretty close to what I want to do. Company name, a logo, and a website. There are some other fields here which I don't particularly need, but this is a really good start. But in this case, I'm actually going to start from scratch. I'm going to name my table. We're now inside the builder, and on the left hand side it shows a list of tables where I have my companies table, and on the right hand side it shows the fields related to this table. Now Knack has to add one field. It always adds a short text field, and it's called a company's name. So a table can't exist without at least one field. It's like a spreadsheet wouldn't be able to exist without at least one column. So I'm just going to click on this and it opens up the dialog box, and I'm just going to rename this company name. The box is checked for it being required, so each time a record's added, a name has to be given. We'll cover things like validation and conditional rules in later videos, so I'm simply going to update this field. I'm now going to click on the Add Field button, and this brings up a menu on the left hand side with all the different field types that are available within Knack. They're grouped into different sections, so we have text, numbers, choices, dates, files, personal, and then other. And you can collapse these down by clicking on the little triangle here if you want to give yourself a little bit more room. So on this particular table, I want the company name, company address, and a website link. So I'm going to come down to the address, and you can either click and drag and then drop it onto your page. Alternatively, if you click on the field directly, dialog box will open straight up so you can get straight into the settings. Now in this particular field, I want it to be a required field, so it's a mandatory field. If you're on a pro plan or above, you can enable the geocoding and the auto address complete. I'm going to have the input as an address rather than longitude and latitude, and I'm going to leave the format as a US format, but you can choose international and international with country, but I'm just going to stay with US. And for our website link, I'm just going to use the link field, which is under the other section. So I'm going to click on link. I'm going to make this required and change the label. There are a couple of different link text formats. So you can either use the actual link URL in the field name. So if it was Google, it'll be www.google.com, or you can have unique text. So it could just say link. I'm going to leave it to display the URL. And I'd like the link when it's clicked on to open in a new browser tab or a new window. So at the simplest level, this is my company table finished. So what I can do now is go into the records section and add in my records. And once again, I can either do this by doing an import, or I can simply click on Add Record, and the form will pop up with the fields that I've just added: the company name, the address, and the website. And as you can see, Knack has indicated by a red asterisk that these fields are mandatory or required fields. So I'm just going to fill these in and add 3 companies to my table. I now have 3 companies in my companies table, and it's worth mentioning that the method I used here of adding a record is adding a record directly in the builder. This isn't how the users will use it. They will use the pages in the live app, but this is a way of being able to put records directly into the system so we can build out our application and have some test data to play around with. So how a user will access this is via the pages. So on the left hand side, there's a pages link. We go to pages here, very similar to adding your first table. It guides you about adding your first page. So simply click on the green button to add your first page. And on the left hand side, you'll need to consider the question about whether this is a public page or whether it's protected by a login. As it states here, you'll need to enable users to log in to access your application. And at this time, we haven't set up user accounts. So we're just going to go with an open public page so anyone can access this information. I'm going to click continue. I'm going to rename the page, add the page, And now Knack asks me what type of view would I like to build on my web page. There are record views, static views, and reports views. In this particular case, we have a very simple table of companies. So I'd like to just add this as a grid. It then asks me which table is going to be in this grid. And we obviously only have one table at the moment, which is companies. I can then add very easily links to be able to edit the record and a link to be able to view more details. And I'm going to click continue. On the right hand side, you can see a live preview of how this page is building up. And Knack has already added a search by keyword function for me, a filters menu, the edit links and the view links to be able to see and edit the record. I can simply now just click on add grid. And this page is now complete. There's lots of customization that we can and will do on this table over the next few videos, but I just wanted to show you how quick it is to create a live app page based on your data. So for us to view this, we can now go up to the top right hand corner and click on the Go to Live App button. This opens in a new browser tab, and as we don't currently have logins set up, the page is now visible to anybody that has this particular URL. And as you can see, we have our 3 companies listed in the table. They're sorted as shown by this downward arrow in descending order alphabetically, and you can click on the column headings and change that sort A to Z and Z to A. We have a search by keyword box, the ability to add filters to the table and edit links to be able to update this information, links at the bottom and the top to be able to navigate back through our application, and a link to be able to view more information about the company. Obviously, this is a very simple table and a very simple page, but over the next few videos we will start to build out the complexity, connecting data together with relationships and building more complex views.